I want to introduce Pat Harrigan, who is a great veteran of the United States Army. He was a Green Beret. He is a combat veteran, and he's going to be the next congressman from the state of North Carolina. Pat is just, he's a very, very impressive guy. He's one of the few people who makes me feel short. I think Pat's like 6'6", but a great human being, a great servant of this country. He did it already in the United States Army as a Green Beret. He's going to do it as a representative from the state of North Carolina. Pat, why don't you come up here and say a few words, man? Let's give it up for Pat Harrigan.
Well, thank you, Senator. And it's great to be here with our veteran family. I walked around a little bit and talked to a few of y'all, and some of you guys haven't served, and that's great. But to those who haven't served and are watching this now, I can appreciate that you might not understand why America's veterans across the political spectrum are standing up to sound the alarm about Tim Walz. I can appreciate how you might look fondly on his 20-plus years of service in the National Guard. And I understand why it can seem like nitpicking when our veteran community reads his words and we scream stolen valor. I get it, and I don't judge it. Without serving and deploying, I might not get it either. But I'm hoping that at the very least, by the time that I sit down here today, you'll understand why we are so passionate in our united voice that Tim Walz is a coward who betrayed his men at their greatest time of need and is not fit to serve the United States of America as vice president. I want to start by sharing a story from my time in service about leadership. As a young lieutenant, I was called into a senior leader's office, and everybody here knows that's a place you don't want to be. But as he addressed me for the first time, I looked around and took stock of all the hard-earned mementos and memorabilia that were hanging on his wall of his office of a man that had served 20-plus years in the Army. And as he asked me questions, something that was on his desk caught my eye. Sitting there was this simple, nondescript framed picture of a young sergeant fitted in all of his combat gear. And the title at the top of the picture is, "This Man Pays for My Mistakes." And what struck me immediately was that picture was not facing outward as if to show others the picture. Rather, it was facing inwards towards his chair. And I asked him why he had this picture, and he said that it served as a constant reminder of the one and only purpose of his role as a leader. And in that moment, I learned one of my most valuable lessons of leadership, and it was a lesson that served me through my deployments in Afghanistan. I learned that a leader is a servant who places the needs of his men and women above himself. A leader is someone that shows up day in and day out, not thinking about his own goals, but about what is best for those under his command. A leader leads his team into battle from the front, not cowering from the back, or worse yet, quitting altogether. A leader understands that our country has placed its sons and its daughters, its mothers and its fathers, and its brothers and its sisters in his care. When a leader violates this trust, hell hath no fury like the men, women, mothers, and children impacted by that coward. The men and women standing in this VFW today have earned the right to be here. They have deployed to combat on behalf of a grateful nation. We have all served under good leaders and bad ones, and our experience has taught us to quickly spot the difference between the two. This ability to discern the quality of our leaders was earned with our blood, sweat, and tears, and in some cases, the limbs and the lives of our friends. And this is why we are standing here today. As the men, women, and family members who were in Tim Walz's unit have spoken out about his cowardice, the media has done its best to whitewash his errors. It was a misspeak when he said that he had gone to war, that he didn't, in fact, mean to accidentally print the wrong rank on the coins that he distributed, or that he may not have received the final paperwork locking his unit into their upcoming deployment to Iraq before he quit. We believe it is unforgivable to do what Tim Walz did. When, among others, the command sergeant major who replaced him, the mother of one of his unit's fallen soldiers, and the unit's chaplain are calling him a coward, how dare Tim Walz call it simply partisan attacks? And quite frankly, how dare you, the media, dismiss the men and women who actually know Walz's character? That's the thing about men and women who, like Senator Vance, have earned their membership as a veteran of foreign wars. Not one of us, we will not back down when we recognize a bad leader who will harm our brothers and sisters in arms. This is why we stand here today speaking out against Tim Walz. His actions have clearly shown that he does not care about the man who will pay for his mistakes. His own chaplain called him a coward. Think of that, his own chaplain. Tim Walz knew a deployment was coming for the men and women under his care, and he chose to be in the halls of Congress rather than have earned the right to stand here with you and I on this hallowed ground in this VFW. Tim Walz is the kind of person who continues to exaggerate not only up to the line, but well over it when it comes to what he did in the military. So to the media listening, I appreciate that you can simply write off a remark from Tim that included "when I deployed to war" as a misspeak. To those of us standing in this room, that cannot be a misspeak. It's impossible for it to be a misspeak. And I'll tell you why, because those words are sacred to us. But those are the words spoken by a man who chose to let those in his care fight on his behalf. And those are the words of a coward who is trying to hide the truth from the American people. So those of us in this room and in VFWs across America, we aren't going to let him get away with it, are we? We will continue to sound the alarm that Tim Walz cannot and will not be anywhere near leading our military. The only question that remains is whether the media will tell the truth or continue to cower right next to Tim Walz. Thank you all.
Wow. Thank you, Pat. That was incredible. And we're going to take some questions from the reporters in just a few minutes. But let me try to round this out a little bit. You just heard an incredible testimony from Pat. He talked about the people that Tim Walz had served with. And let's just summarize the truth. Tim Walz said that he carried a weapon in war. He never went to war. Tim Walz said that he didn't know his unit was about to deploy to Iraq when even his own press release at the time said that he knew exactly that. Tim Walz claimed to be a command sergeant major, even had it printed on his challenge coins, and he knew he never achieved that rank. And now Kamala Harris, showing terrible judgment, has decided that her way out of this political problem is to claim that she and Tim Walz are the victims. I think the victims are the veterans who are having their service disparaged because the guy who wants to be their vice president is lying instead of telling the truth. I think those are the real victims of what Tim Walz has done. Every single person standing with me has sacrificed something for this country. Some of us, like Brian, have sacrificed more than most Americans can possibly fathom. But every single one of us honors every veteran for their service, whether they went to war or not. So long as you did what this country asked you to do, you deserve to be praised for it. You deserve to have what this country promised to you actually given to you. This is not about disparaging anybody's services, including Tim Walz. This is about disparaging the dishonesty and asking Kamala Harris, why are you showing such poor judgment by standing by a guy who insulted our veterans and lied about his service? If Kamala Harris wants to lead this country, if she wants to lead the millions of active and reserve service members and the millions of veterans on top of it, she ought to stand before the media and answer why Tim Walz lied and why she's now trying to say that he's the victim, that we are somehow attacking Tim Walz's service. That's what Kamala Harris says, that we're attacking his honorable service. We're not attacking his honorable service. We're attacking the dishonesty about that service. That is not honorable. That is the height of dishonor, and Tim Walz should not be the Vice President of the United States because of it. God bless you guys. Thank you all.